One thing that's been amazing on my PRI journey has been the idea of letting go. And something that's really, really important in postural restoration is the idea of letting go of a movement pattern. So if you are stuck on one side of your body, generally the right side, that right side has to let go so the left side can really get back into your life, in a sense. And that idea of letting go of a movement pattern, I think, corresponds amazingly well with the idea of letting go of a thought pattern or a behavior pattern. And in the past 5 years, as I've gone from a physical wreck, 6 years actually, from a physical wreck to feeling the best I've ever felt, not only was I doing it through postural restoration, which was obviously the biggest influence in my life, but I was also doing it through reading Buddhist psychology. I read the John Sarno book, which is The Back Pain Solution, The Mind-Body Connection. And what I find interesting is that people have to say, oh, the mind and the body are connected, or the brain and the body are connected. You shouldn't even have to say connection. It's all the same. It's all one. So it's almost ridiculous that people even say, oh, the brain and the body are connected. Of course they're connected. The idea that we would even split them up into different realms, to me, is just insane. So having to say the mind-body or the brain-body connection makes no sense. It's all the same system. And that's why different systems interact with each other, in the sense that, well, you don't really have different systems. It's one system. We're just one. So, and I'm very passionate about this, obviously. So what I had to do, if you go to one of my pages, my pritrainer.com, and then about, there's 4 pictures of my face. There's a picture of my face when I'm maybe a year old, and it's symmetrical. Then the second picture is of me at maybe 6 or 7 years of age, and you start to see major facial asymmetries. The main one being my left eye and left ear and left cheek being higher than my right. Now, I don't know what occurred for that to happen. I'm probably a fall of some type, because children's heads are still kind of spongy and they're not fully formed. And so they can easily get, not deformed, but they can easily get kind of positioned out of place, the bones. And then there's a picture of me from last year. The asymmetry is still there. And then there's a picture of me from last week, and the asymmetry is pretty much gone. And facial asymmetry can cause a lot of problems, because those bones in which the eyes sit and the ears sit, they articulate articulate, so they're joints, with the base of your skull. And the base of your skull sits on top of your cervical spine. And when the articulations of the facial bones interact with the base of your skull, when those relationships get distorted and bones get stuck in an asymmetrical position, it's going to affect the movement of the base of the skull, and it's going to affect the movement of the spine, because because the top cervical vertebrae and the bottom of the base of the skull they articulate also, right? So movement of the base of your skull, it's called the occiput, on top of the top cervical vertebrae, which is the atlas, is unbelievably important. And in osteopathic medicine, they kind of talk about that OA joint, the occipital atlas joint, as the most important joint in the body. Now, how this relates to letting go. Each time, there were 2 or 3 main times that my face kind of rearranged. The first time, actually, what I was able to finally do, and that was 1 year ago, was get my neck to actually kind of become untwisted. And that changed the relationship of how my head was sitting on my neck. And you can actually see pictures of that also. But both times that preceding or during the time where I got these changes to occur, I had flashbacks to, I guess you would call, repressed memories. One was an orthodontic memory. I was sitting reading, and I started to feel pain in my tooth, in my upper right molar area. And because I'm an experienced meditator, I just closed my eyes, and I had a flashback to being in the orthodontist chair, because I was young, probably 8th grade, 7th grade. And I had a experience of the orthodontist's big, hairy arm with pliers pulling on my tooth. And I guess that was traumatic. And going to the orthodontist is traumatic because it's very painful because your mouth has so many nerves. And when I had that, after I had that experience and I relived it, I had a very difficult time breathing. I was just reliving the experience. My heart, I could feel it in my chest. I could feel a lot of discomfort, and I was having a hard time breathing. It's almost like I was suffocating with this hand in my mouth. When I got up after the experience, I noticed that my left foot was hitting the ground differently, and I could breathe through my right nostril for the first time in I don't know how long. So something had expanded. I had that experience again recently when I finally got my eyes to drop into alignment. I had another, I guess, repressed memory, something that happened in high school, so 27 years ago. It was about the night that I actually ended up with the ringing in my ears. So I had to let go of some of that memory also. And I felt expansion through my nose and eye area. And again, you can see those pictures. Now, it was also in conjunction with PRI exercises. So I think I can't say one led to the other. All I know is they came together. They worked together to produce this movement. And again, it's not a coincidence that the ringing in my ears has decreased to probably the lowest level I've ever experienced it. So that's obviously a great thing, and I made a little video about that with the tinnitus and the ringing in my ears. But the ability to let go, I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person that holds on to painful memories, whether you're aware of it or not. And in order for my body and my neck to relax, these cranial asymmetries had to relax. And I think, and this is what I've read in osteopathic medicine, craniosacral medicine, they do believe, and that the cranium holds on to memories, especially painful memories, obviously, emotional, traumatic memories. And again, can you prove it? Probably not, but that's my experience, and they wouldn't be writing about these things if they didn't see it themselves. I think there's a lot of books. The body keeps the score. If you read any Buddhist psychology books, they say that your body is an expression of all the traumas that you've gone through, and letting go is obviously the most important thing. They would probably say they see these things all the time. So it's just Western medicine that seems to say that there's some distinction between the brain and the body and the mind and the body as if they're separate, which they're not. So it does make logical sense, the idea of letting go of movement patterns and letting go of thought patterns or traumatic memories that are holding your body in a restricted, tense state. So in summation, I think that because it's all the autonomic nervous system, some people will have to address their issues both through physical means, like postural restoration, and also through more psychological means, perhaps therapy. For me, I didn't do therapy. I just read a lot of Buddhist psychology, and that's kind of all I needed. I had my realizations as I was reading, and I was able to let go of a lot of things, a lot of things I was holding on to, for lack of better description. So my recommendation, if you have a lot of pain, chronic pain, do something like, if you can do postural restoration, obviously that's what helped me the most, but you may also want to explore some type of therapy, psychological therapy.